What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. We're here to talk about the many crazy updates with Zomedica. Hold on, I just gotta reduce the volume. But it's fantastic to be back. I was gone away on a leadership retreat for the last couple days. Probably why you haven't seen any such video updates. I'm actually going on another trip, go to Europe in a few days. I'm gonna try to put some videos together to let you guys know what's going on with your favorite stocks, your favorite cryptocurrencies, and everything, so you don't miss out too much while I'm gone. But today, remember, today we're talking about Zomedica, our favorite pet healthcare company. But before we get into that, as always, remember, this is not financial advice. Any idiot can turn on a camera and talk about stocks, talk about cryptocurrencies, talk about investing. Remember, because anyone can do it, you've got to do your own research, and by doing that, I think you'll be way happier. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy documenting my journey for financial freedom on YouTube. I hope that you come along with me so that you can get wealthier than last time. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on all tech. Links to all that are in the description below. So let's get into it. If you take a look at Zomedica, Zomedica has actually been doing not too well on the financial markets. In the last day, they're down 4%. Over the last week, they're down about 5%. In the last month, they're down 15%. In the last 6 months, they're down about 29-30%. But overall, from the year starting January 1st, we're up 6.4%. This at a time when we take a look at the S&P 500 is up 18% for the year. And if you take a look at QQQ or the NASDAQ, it's up 42% for the year. Remember, NASDAQ is really talking about tech. S&P 500 is the Standards and Poor's, and basically just the top companies in the world. So despite market fears, market worries starting to subside, Zomedica hasn't done nearly as close to as well. And this is not to be unexpected. Let's just be straight up here. Zomedica is a startup company. People invest in startup companies when they have extra cash and when cash is plentiful, right? So if people aren't worried about money, if people aren't worried about their ability to feed their families, etc., people tend to have more recreational income to spend going out, investing, gambling, whatever you name it. People had to hunker down because there's been tons of fear around recessions. We've seen interest rates continue to go up. Fears around inflation have somewhat subsided, although there is an expectation that the most recent inflation update will actually be a step up and not a step down. So, we'll wait to see sort of how that goes. But overall, we have to see the market fully recover and people start investing in the large caps, the medium caps, the small caps before they get into the penny stocks. So I wouldn't worry about Zomedica's movement, at least in the short term. What we care about is really what the company is doing. So what I always do, and I got a notification while I was gone, every time Zomedica does a press release, because I'm signed up to the investor alerts, you can see that I'm highlighting it here. It'll tell you when a press release gets sort of published. So I get an email every time they go live, and I just come on and check it out. And that's not even imagining how many people were messaging about this, either DMing me or sort of messaging me on the free public Discord, letting me know, hey, what do you think about this? So that's why I'm here to make this video. So let's first talk about the corporate update, because it's probably the one that you're most concerned about. So basically, they received a formal notice from the NYSE American that they're not compliant with the listing standards because the common shares have been selling for a substantial period of time at a low price per share. The company's receipt of the notice from the NYSE American does not result in the immediate delisting of the company's common shares. And, Zomedica filed a Form 8K saying they plan to notify the NYSE American that it intends to cure the share price deficiency and also have that return to compliance. And obviously, like doing such in a way that are in the best interest of the company and its shareholders. So in that period of time, Zomedica is going to keep being listed on the NYSE American, and we're going to have to wait and see. Now, I was a little confused because somebody in our group chat had sent this article. Zomedica Pharmaceuticals achieves compliance with NYSE American listing standards. Something that is somewhat surprising to me because you'd expect Zomedica to post that as an update. So I don't really know if this is true because as you saw in this press release, it was around the common share price, right, being below 20 cents. So if we take a look at the last month, it really depends on how they define that little barrier here, right? As long as sort of Zomedica closes at 20 cents or above 20 cents, you're fine. But if it's consistently over the course of a month, then what happens, and we've gone over this in previous videos, they get flagged, which is like what they did right here. And then they get 6 months to close above that price, but they have to close above that price for 10 consecutive days, right? And that's 10 consecutive trading days. So they have not done that. Surprised to see that sort of this thing has kind of come out, and would love to hear from you guys in the comments below on what you think. So I'm not really sure why this article is saying it's sort of in compliance and that there's a sense of relief, because we haven't actually seen that actually come to fruition. Let's just take a look over here, August 23rd, whatever, right? So it's very close, right? This has been about a month, around 20 cents. So hard to tell. But obviously this is not the typical news you want to hear. And the reason I say this is the most common strategy that stocks have employed is to use a reverse stock split to achieve that listing price requirement. So I'll give you an example. BNGO, they were afraid of the same thing. And what they did, because on the NASDAQ, you require a dollar list price to stay on the exchange. Otherwise, you get delisted. Well, they did a reverse stock split. And when they did the reverse stock split, you saw the price of BNGO get absolutely cratered. I think this was somewhere here. No, it was right here. So it was like $6 or $7, and then it just went down 50%. Why? Because when you make that move, it is a real blow to consumer confidence. No one likes reverse stock splits. They're terrible, because what you do is you're maintaining the same equity. It's just a financial maneuver, which really reduces the number of shares in existence and props up sort of the value per share, right? The market cap stays the same. I like to think of it as a kind of a cheating thing. And what typically will happen here is the stock price will sell off after the reverse stock split. I always say this happened with BNGO and it happened with AMC. So if you watch this channel recently and you've heard me talk about it, I hope you sort of took that warning to heart. I made sure I cleared up my BNGO before that happened. And not unsurprisingly, we dropped about 50%. Same thing happened with AMC. AMC shares, when they announced that they were doing a reverse stock split and a merger with the Ape shares. This is like right here, I think, or maybe it was here, maybe it was a little before that, but they've gone down 80%. Imagine going down 80% from these meme rallies, where we are now significantly below some of the pre-AMC prices even before the rally, which is completely absurd and somewhat worrying for those, right? But remember, this is not about we're not here to talk about AMC or BNGO. We're talking about Zomedica. One of the nice things about Zomedica here is back in 2020, there was a potential delisting or the compliance issue. And what had happened was they took it to the vote. They presented it as an option. It got voted against. So they said, hey, you know what? We're going to find other ways to do it. There was a meme rally. It went from 15, 20 cents all the way up to $3 or 250, and obviously this wasn't a problem anymore. But in the absence of a bull run, what's going to happen here? I'll be honest with you. If I see a reverse stock split for Zomedica, I will be dumping every single share I own. I know that is not what you want to hear, but I know what that means. And for me, I will dump them and I will buy them back once that takes place and there's been a sell-off. It is like I don't want to say I'm 100%, but I think every single time I've seen it happen, no matter how good I thought the company was, the shares just sell off. This is not a move that inspires confidence with investors. And like some investors don't get it. They're like, oh, well, you know what? Who cares? And you can always tell who that is, right? There are some people who are like, oh, well, I forgot what it was. I think Starbucks was like $600 a share. I forgot if it was Starbucks. And then they compare that to Apple shares at like $150. Well, Starbucks is worth 4 times more. And they don't really understand that you look at number of shares times the price of the share to get the market cap. And the market cap is what you compare as a benchmark to understand how much a company is worth, not the share price. The share price is one of 2 things that make up the market cap. So that's one news release. The second news release is we actually have an announcement around truforma. As you remember, truforma is their diagnostic platform, right? And this diagnostic platform is what actually raised the funding for Zomedica to actually be able to acquire all these other companies. So in this case, they're actually going to launch a point of care assay for the diagnosis and management of Cushing's disease in horses. Hey, Victoria, how's it going? So Victoria is saying she just got into the chat. Will there be a sell-off or reverse split? So I think they're going to attempt to put it up for a vote, and I hope it doesn't pass. I will be voting against it if it goes to sort of the meeting to vote on it. And the reality is a reverse stock split doesn't help anyone. So if a reverse stock split happens, there will be a massive sell-off in price, likely 30 to 40%. Obviously, I can't tell the future. I don't know. I'm only telling you based on past trends I've seen in other stocks. Maybe Zomedica will be different. Maybe Zomedica, it will rally. But everything that I have learned, everything that I have seen would tell me that this will sell off. So that is why I'm very worried that it will have that issue. Obviously, we have another 6 months. I believe there's a 6-month extension. Well, there's first a 6-month period that they have to maintain the price at 20 cents. To close over 20 cents for 10 consecutive business days. Failing that, they can apply for another 6-month extension. So we can be like September 13, 2024. That's as long as we have. Until then, there doesn't need to be a move. Only at that point will there be an issue and something will have to be potentially delisted. And when it gets delisted, typically you go on what's called like the pink sheet. And the reason you don't want to get delisted is it gets harder to buy the shares. So if they're harder to buy the shares, how can the everyday investor grab it? It reduces volume. And what that ends up meaning is like usually stocks come down unless, people are very aware and keen on how to use the OTC, and it's super easy, right? And that will only happen on the OTC markets if, for example, people are aware and you have big buyers, right? Obviously, also from the standpoint of these big institutions that hold Zomedica, that's not something they want to do either, right? So going back to this, Larry Heaton, who's the CEO of Zomedica, said that, the truforma diagnostic platform has brought novel point of care capabilities for diagnostics to the vets. And now equine vets can experience that same reference lab accuracy and point of care convenience that truforma brings. So I'm not really going to go into like the details of the actual Cushing's disease and sort of how it affects horses, but the reality is this is how they sort of combine, a multiple pillars of their business together. There's still a ton of potential when you look at the overall business for Zomedica, where they say that truforma is really the total addressable market. It's exponentially much bigger than any other market that's available. And right now, I believe IDEX is really controlling that, right? They control the lion's share. So they still need to go out there and build positive truforma experience And they've done that with their CAP program, getting those truforma devices into clinics and really charging for the assays. But this is a line item that we constantly monitor in their earnings reports. And when you check out their earnings, it's never been inspiring around truforma, as PulseVet typically makes up a large component of that revenue. So if we take a look at their last quarter, the second quarter 2023 sales, $4.2 million, $6.0 million, 5.8 coming from PulseVet and Assisi, whereas truforma, Revo Squared, VetGuardian was 0.2 million, right? Think about like how small that is in comparison, right? Especially considering how much potential truforma has. But really, it has to be seen as a value add by customers, and they've really got to start seeing some incredible adoption. Until they do, truforma might as well be whatever, right? Because PulseVet is really growing the business. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have for talk about in this video. If you're interested, I do offer private personalized coaching. You can book that coaching at coaching.thebrownjet.com. We talk about stocks, crypto, options, maybe some DeFi web games like DeFi Kingdoms. You can pick what you want to do. We also have a membership program. Thank you to those people who support us with the memberships. We have the channel supporters and the investing prodigies. You can see that in the membership below. On top of that, we have a free public Discord. Check it out. Nothing to enter and lots of great discussion. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on all tech. Like, share, subscribe. And until next time, I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.